The minute he opened up his voice, I was like, tone, power, toleration, the range, the emotion, the vibrato. Oh, Niall was in his chair just dancing. I'm like, brother, you better not just be sitting there dancing. You better press that button. Hello, welcome to the Pitchy Podcast. My name is Stephanie. Here on the Pitchy Podcast, we are passionate about good music and a great vocal. We will use the vehicle of NBC's The Voice to give you my take and my feedback on each artist, their voice, and their overall performance. Here on the Pitchy Podcast, we keep it 100 with our takes. But what we are never here to do is come for anyone's character or any contestant as a human being. Now, while I may come off just a little pitchy at times, if you know what I mean, I will do my best to speak my truth with love, kindness, and respect. And with that, let's get started discussing Night 5 of The Blinds, NBC's The Voice, Season 28. Now, if you are a regular here, you know that my wonderful co-host James is not joining me tonight. Hopefully, he will be joining me for our next episode for Night 6. For those of you who are new here, hello. I hope you get to check out not only this episode, but our next or previous episodes with my wonderful co-host James, so you can see the real pitchy podcast. But because of scheduling and life, it's just me here today. But I am so excited to talk about Night 5 of The Blinds. We had some really, really special artists come through tonight, so I'm very excited to talk about them. So without any further ado, let's get started with our first artist. His name was Dustin Dale Gaspard, 33 years of age, from Cow Island, Louisiana, in the swamps. And he sang Bring It On Home to Me by Sam Cooke. Now, from the very jump, I knew Dustin was going to give us that flavor. My man had his guitar ready, but not only did he have his guitar ready, he had his harmonica. I said, oh, I am ready. He is going to give us artistry. He is going to give us creativity. He is going to give us that Cajun French flavor. And boy, oh boy, did he ever. If you watched season 27 of NBC's The Voice, you might recognize this song. This is a song that our last year's winner, Adam David, sang. So when Dustin started off the first line of this song, I was like, oh, I know this song. And I really thought that it was a great song for Dustin because it allowed him to show not only his musicianship, but it also allowed for him to show off his voice. Oh, Dustin had a beautiful growl to his voice. He had a beautiful cadence to his voice. And when I say cadence, I'm talking about his delivery, the way he delivered the lyrics, the timing he used. It was very kind of conversational. And I love when an artist has that kind of delivery. It almost reminds me of a preacher, because there is that conversational element to the way that he sang, but also there was that soul, there was that Cajun flavor, there was that, it just felt so good. And I was really hoping that his voice would deliver that, and it did. It wasn't over the top, but it definitely did. I love how he sang some of it in French. It was just incredible. It was a audition unlike any audition that I remember on The Voice, with not only the difference in the varying languages he sang, but couple that with the soul, couple that with the musicianship. It was a really unique and definitely a standout performance and audition. I I thought it was really cool that even though the coaches could not see him, they could tell he was playing the harmonica. They were like, "Oh, this is how we starting out." So yeah, I really, really enjoyed Dustin's performance, and what a way to start off the show. I can see why he was the show opener for tonight. So Dustin was a 4-chair turn, and all of the coaches really gave their best pitches for Dustin to pick them as his coach. In the end, he chose to go with Niall. So I think this is a wonderful pickup for Niall, and I cannot wait to see the song choices that they pick moving forward. I can't wait to see the coaching and the advice that Niall is going to give to Dustin. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more from him. All right, so our next contestant was Kanard Thomas, 35 years old, from Columbus, Georgia. And he sang Whip Appeal by Babyface. We get some Whip Appeal, some 90s R&B. This might even be 80s. It's either late 80s or early 90s, but this one was different because I don't ever remember NBC's The Voice, anybody, any other contestant or artist from the seasons that I've watched consistently do this song. And, from jump, it was kind of written in the stars that Kanard was going to be on Team Snoop. Spoiler. The minute that song started, Snoop sang the entire time, to the point where I'm like, Snoop, you need to listen to this young man singing so you can actually hear if you want him on your team. He was singing the entire time. It was so hilarious. So cool thing about Kanard was he was a season 16 artist who didn't make the cut, but then ended up, they had some kind of like special round that they were doing that season where they brought some people back, and he was able to, I think they said, earn a spot on a live show, which I thought was really cool. So every season we see an artist or two return who either did a blind audition before and didn't make it, or something to that effect. So that was a really cool part of Kanard's story. So when he started, he had this really whispery, sweet tone. And it sounded nice, but I was thinking as the audition was going forward, brother, I'm gonna need for you to show a little bit more, because although you have a really nice voice, I know these coaches are going to, if you don't get a chair turn, these coaches are going to want to say that they wanted to hear more dynamics or more range or more of something. And by the time he got to the pre-chorus, the section of the song right before the chorus, there was an increase in intensity and strength in his voice. And I was like, there it is. There it is. Because the tone didn't change. There was just more power behind it. And he has such a beautiful tenor, sweet, dreamy. One of the coaches described it perfectly as a dreamy R&B voice. And by the time he got into that chorus, I was like, Snoop, it's just a matter of time. Don't forget to hit that button, brother. Don't forget to hit that button. And I'm so glad that he did. And he was not the only one. Niall also hit his button for Kanard. And it was just a wonderful audition. I'm really, really glad that he got to the section in the song where his voice could really shine and get some chairs to turn. So, like I said, it was between Snoop and Niall, and there was really no competition on this one. Kanard decided to go on Team Snoop. So congratulations to Snoop and congratulations to Kanard for getting on the show. And I know Snoop is going to be all up in his R&B bag picking out songs for Kanard. So I'm very excited to see more from him. So our next artist was Shan Scott, 28 years old, from New York. Now, I've watched the show long enough to know that when they feature someone in the way that they featured Shan, which was they didn't give any of her B-roll prior to her performance. It was just, you see her on the stage, she's kind of in the dark, and here you go. So based on that, I knew she was going to get a chair turn because I've never seen them set up somebody like that, not hearing any of their story or anything like that, and them not get a chair turn. It's usually the ones that they do B-roll for, in a certain section of the show where they don't get a chair turn. So when Shan's audition started, her voice was not what I was expecting at all. It was rich. It had this beautiful texture to it. It had a yodel, kind of like when your voice kind of flips up. Like if you remember the artist Jewel, who will save, like that kind of yodel type thing. That's what Shan's voice had, but in a lower register. There was a rocky, folky edge to it. There was a rasp. Her voice sounded, the only way I can describe it, there's two ways, is lived in. It sounds like she sounded way older than she was. And it sounds like her voice had been used a lot because there was there was just like this lived in kind of raw kind of, my wonderful co-host James kind of he says that it almost sounds like vocal damage, like you've been singing for so long, or you're a drinker or a smoker but you still have this amazing voice, but there's been a little bit of textural damage done to your voice that gives it that kind of lived in texture. I also said that her voice had a sizzle to it, like the rasp kind of had like the sizzly feel to it. It was such a cool voice for someone as young as her. I did not mention that she sang the song Wish I Knew You by the Revivalists. And I feel like it's a song that I've heard before. It might have been on this show, but the song was really cool. It was a really good mix with her voice. But nobody was turning their chairs. I think they were trying to figure out what they were hearing and who they were hearing it from. And at the last minute, Reba hit her button. I was like, thank God. Like, I need her to go through because this voice is so unique, so textured, so different. Like, I need to hear this voice some more. And I know y'all ain't going to cut her without even showing her B-reel. So somebody better turn. And like I said, Reba turned. So I'm so excited to hear more from Shan because I think she's a cool person. I think that she has a really cool voice, and I think given the right songs, she's going to give us some really great performances moving forward. So excited that Shan is a part of The Voice this season. So our next artist is Carly Harvey, 39 years old, from Washington, D.C., and she sang It Hurts So Bad by Susan Tedeschi. I hope I'm saying that right. Carly said of herself that she is a bluesologist. She is a vocal teacher. I loved her. I loved her sister. I loved how her sister was like, can I scream? Can I? Like, she was back there with Carson. And she was like, what? Am I allowed to scream? What am I going to do? Like, what am I supposed to do? And Carson was like, well, you might not want to scream because I might scare. I loved that. I loved how real that interaction was. So from the moment Carly opened up her mouth, I was like, sing, sis. Sing. I knew she was gonna bring some holleration. She brought some holleration. She brought that bluesy sound. Her voice was a very styled voice. Like, she really leaned into the jazz uniqueness of her voice, but she has one of those tones where it's undeniable that she was a professional. It's like, oh, you are either a professional teacher of voice or you are a performer. Like, there was no hesitation. There was no nervousness about her delivery. Like, it was just like, this is what I do. I have two ways of thinking about Carly's performance. One was her overall voice and tone were absolutely undeniable. Like, there's nothing to deny about her tone. Also, there were, and I only listened to this once, so I need to go back and listen to it, but I felt like there were some ends of lines and ends of notes that did not hit pitch-wise perfectly. And I think that that had to do with just the stylized way of the way she was singing. Which I was glad that she sang the way that she sang. You always want to show the coaches who you really are in these auditions, and I think that she did that well. And again, I need to listen back to this one because in the moment, it felt like some of her notes did not land and hit perfectly at the ends, but there was so much amazingness about her tone and her delivery that it was undeniable. And for a while, she wasn't getting anybody to turn because I think that the coaches might have been grappling with exactly what I've just described. But in the end, Reba and Michael Bublé ended up turning for her because it was like she is undeniable. She's undeniable. So Carly ended up choosing Bublé, and I think that that's going to be a perfect pairing. Michael being the exceptional vocalist that he is, and even the style of music that Michael sings is very close to the style of music that Carly would probably like to sing. So I'm very, very excited to see their partnership. I'm excited to see how he's going to coach her. And I'm excited to see the kind of songs that he chooses for her. So our next artist was Vinya Chhabra. I hope I said her last name right. I think I did. Now, I failed to mention at the top of the show that we are on Patreon. So if you enjoy this commentary on NBC's The Voice, I think that you will enjoy our Patreon. We talk more in depth about the episode. We talk about the artists that did not get a chair turn. And another feature on our Patreon is a watch with me. Every episode, I choose one artist to watch live. I watch it live and I record myself watching it for the first time. And so y'all get to see my real time reaction. And so for this week, I did Vinya. And she's 14 years old from New Jersey. And she's saying ironic, y'all. If you have been around the Pitchy podcast for a minute, you know how excited I was about this song choice. So there was nothing about Vinya that said 14. She carries herself in a manner that is not that young at all. Even in her B-reel, I was like, 14, as my co-host James would say, I need y'all to check the birth certificate because I was not believing it. She was not carrying herself as a 14-year-old, and her voice did not sound like a 14-year-old. Now, as much as I love this song, there is a reason why we don't hear a lot of Alanis on this show because it's very, her songs are really difficult, and they're especially difficult. I would assume that it would be especially difficult for a younger person to sing because there's so much going on, in particular with this song. There is the verses that are a little bit more conversational, and then you have the chorus, which is just straight up holleration. And I was so impressed with Vinya's delivery of this song. Like, her voice was so powerful. When she got to the choruses, it was just sheer holleration. And I was just like, are you kidding me? I was so impressed with the way that she was interpreting and delivering the chorus parts. And if my ear is correct, I think she sang this in a higher key than Alanis did. Her presence on stage was just, as we like to say on this show, pro. There was no nervousness. It felt like stage was home. She just looked like a superstar. And I was just, if those of you that are on Patreon and you watch my reaction, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I did not see this coming from this young lady. So she finishes her performance and she got 3 chair turns, Reba, Snoop, and Michael Bublé. And one of the coaches, it might have been Niall, I can't quite remember, or it might have been Reba, said to Vinya that Michael was harmonizing with her, especially during the chorus, as she was performing. And so Michael starts singing the harmony part that he was singing. And Miss Vinya jumps in there and starts singing again. So she starts singing with Michael. Michael's singing the harmony and she's singing the melody. And she's like, it's like rain. Like she just jumped right in there. And I was like, this young lady is not scared at all. Like she act like this is just, like Vinya was like, this what I do. This is what I do. This is my moment. This is what I do, y'all. And I was just stunned by the confidence and the security of this young lady throughout this entire, like, during the audition for sure, but even as she was talking to the coaches, she was not intimidated or scared at all. And I loved it. In the end, she shocked me. She shocked me because she chose Miss Reba as her coach. And I was just like, whoa, that is a huge pickup for Reba. I know Reba really enjoys working with the younger artists. So I'm very excited to see how she is going to coach up Vinya, what techniques and strategies and what advice she's going to give her, along with what song choices is she going to give her as well. So I'm so excited to see more from Miss Vinya. Woo, she was my surprise of the night. And I was really glad that by chance I happened to do my watch with me with her. So our next artist was Liam von Elbe, 30 years old, from Plattsburgh, New York. And he sang Slow Dancing in a Burning Room, John Mayer. Okay, so the cool thing about Liam is he is a sound engineer. So he is in charge of what artists hear in their ears, which, as somebody who is not a vocal professional, but I have worked with inner ears before, when I have done some singing at our church. These sound engineers are everything because they literally control what you hear in your ears. And when you have those inner ears in, which are basically like earbuds, you are at their mercy because you can't really hear what else is going on in the house, as we call it. This is what you hear by is those inner ears. So if you can't hear yourself, if you can't hear the keyboards, if you can't hear other vocals that you're supposed to be singing with, it really affects your vocal performance. So for Liam to be a sound engineer means he has a really good ear for sound and for music. So I was very interested to hear what he had to offer vocally. Mr. Liam starts this song with just the most beautiful, lovely tone. Whether it was nerves, whether it was humility, whether I don't know what it was, but there was just this authenticity about his voice that if you watch the episode, you will see Niall pretty much melting over this dude. And I completely understood. There was just this vulnerability and, like I said, this authenticity about his vocal that was just like, wow. And then he opened up his throat and this holler came out. And I was just like, holy holleration. There was passion. There was grit. There was intensity. When a song and a voice are perfectly matched and they come together, that's what you had in this audition. And it was just stunning. And there was something about Liam, not only during his B-roll, not only during his performance, but also in when the coaches were talking to him after his audition was over, because 2 coaches turned for him. There was just something about him where it's just like you are rooting for Liam. Like I'll speak for me. I was just like, I really like this dude. I really, really like him a lot as a person. And I'm rooting for him. His voice is so it's just a wonderful voice. I think Niall said of his voice that it's a voice that you just kind of want to fall asleep to. Not that it's boring, but there's just in parts there's a gentleness to it. There's just a warmth to it until you get to that holleration, and then you got all the rasp and grits, and it was wonderful. So as I said, two artists turned for him, Snoop and Niall. In the end, Liam decided to go with Coach Niall. So I know, as excited as I am to see their partnership, I feel like Niall is just as excited to work with Liam. He was so happy to have Liam on his team. So I'm very, very excited about that. So our next artist was Lauren Anderson. She's 40 years old from Oak Park, Illinois. I think she says she's living in Nashville now. And she sang Midnight Train to Memphis by Chris Stapleton. Whoo, Chris Stapleton. Anytime anybody wants to take on a Chris Stapleton song, I'm like, you better have it. You better have it in your throat. So Lauren's audition is unlike any other ladies audition I've ever seen in my life. Lauren had this holler in her throat that I have not heard since a Jackie Roar a few seasons ago. And even Jackie ain't really holler like that. This lady was like, like she started off the audition literally hollering. What I said of Lauren's voice is that it was so big, it was so powerful, there was so much growl and richness to her tone. I wrote that she's an arena singer. Like her voice alone could fill an entire arena. And there was just this unbridled, almost uncontrollable holleration to her voice. And I know that this song has some holler in it. However, there was just raw holleration. Like I said, unlike anything that I've seen before. The only comparison I could have is a Jackie Roar. And it was interesting because with Jackie Roar's audition, she was a late turn, like a coach turned, I think it was Gwen, if I'm remembering correctly, turned late for her. And Jackie had this ability, and it almost felt like Jackie's voice compelled a chair to turn. And it almost felt that way with Lauren as well. Somebody had to turn for her, and somebody did. And it did not surprise me who did, because I know that he likes this kind of voice, especially a female rock, gritty, powerful voice. And that was Snoop. Snoop turned at the last minute. He claims that it was strategy. Could have been. But I was so excited that Lauren got on this show because I really need to hear more of her voice, and I want to hear it outside of this audition, because I want to hear if her voice really is kind of, I don't want to say that it's uncontrollable. I think that's how you say it. I want to see if that holler can be reeled in just a bit, because it felt a little bit not wild. And I know like the way she sang it lends itself to the song, right? But I think that that's going, if she continues to use that holler in that way, it might hurt her. And I don't want her to get hurt. I want her to give us holler, but I don't want it to seem to the coaches that it's not a controllable holler, if that makes sense. But I love Lauren's voice. We need more women's voices like this on this show. And I think one of the coaches, it might have been Reba, I can't remember. But I believe that one of the coaches said as much, like, we need a voice like this on this show. And so I am so glad that Snoop turned his chair for Lauren, and I cannot wait to see and hear more from her for sure. So our next artist was Ava Nat, 18 years old, from Garden City, New York, and she said, "I Love You, I'm Sorry" by Gracie Abrams. Now, Ava was the leak on Friday, and I just did not get a chance to watch it. So I was like, well, I'll just wait for the show. And it took a minute for me to remember that she was the leak. Usually, not usually, all the time, the leak is going to make it through. They're not going to leak somebody who is not going to make it past the blinds. But it was taking folks a minute to turn for Ava. And after her backstory, where she was sharing about her sister's tragic passing in a car accident, I was like, oh, they gotta let this chick through. Like, And let's talk about the performance. So when she began, I felt like she needed a little bit of time to kind of settle into the song. Once she settled in, I was like, okay, we have a very clear tone. We have beautiful communication of these lyrics. Just skipping a little bit forward, Reba asked her if she had a theater background. And I completely understood why she asked that question, because she was definitely communicating this song and performing this song in kind of a theatrical way. And this song lends itself to that kind of, I don't want to call it drama, but that kind of delivery. And Ava really leaned into that part of the performance. This song is rangy. This song is emotional. This song has holleration. And though I feel like I saw some nerves, what I loved about Ava's execution of the song is that there was an attack. Like, you can be nervous and be timid, and sometimes we see that. I felt like Ava might have been a little nervous, but there was an attack. There was a push through. There was even though I might be feeling this, I am going to attack this song and I'm going to give it my all. And that's exactly what she did. And that is exactly why she got 3 chairs to turn for her. So Niall, Snoop, and Reba turned for Ava. And in the end, Ava chose to go with Team Niall. So I thought that was a great pairing. And I'm so excited to see the songs he's going to choose for her and how he's going to mentor her in this competition, because she has a really beautiful voice and she has that internal grit that I think is going to compel her to do really great things in this competition, is going to move her forward in this competition. So I'm excited to see more from Ava. So our last artist for the night was Teo Ramdel. And I know I'm Teo Ramdel. I'm not doing his name any justice. The way that he said it on the show was like, oh, you can just say your name all day and I'm good. He is 34 years of age, from Tijuana, Mexico, and he sang Historia de un Amor by Luis Miguel. Oh, Teo can sing to me all day long. All day long. The minute he opened up his voice, I was like, his tone. Oh my Lord, his tone. There was, gorgeous. Power, toleration, the range, the emotion, the vibrato. Niall was in his chair just dancing. I'm like, brother, you better not just be sitting there dancing. You better press that button, because we need to hear more from Teo. He was undeniable. I said he performed the hell out of that song. The way he was moving across that stage, the way he was using his hands to the point where Reba was like, "Do you dance?" And he was like, "Yeah." Because he was just giving this audition his all. He left his whole heart and soul out on that stage, and that is why he was the 4-chair turn. It was just such, I could see why he was the show closer. You see why they craft these episodes the way that they do. The show opener and the show closer are always going to be an impactful audition. And Teo, oh my goodness, it was just so gorgeous. So what was really interesting to me is that even Reba turned. And I know Reba can have a tendency sometimes to not turn for artists who are speaking and singing in other languages just because she doesn't really think that she can help them. But you know that Teo gave a powerful performance when even Miss Reba turned. So it was just such a beautiful audition. His backstory was beautiful. He is leaning into this voice opportunity for his mother and his family, and it was just so gorgeous. So, as I said, he was a 4-chair turn. And based on the way the night was going, if you were kind of keeping a tally of who each coach, how many people each coach had on their team, you knew, like I knew, and there was an instant connection there anyway, with Michael being in a family unit where they speak a lot of Spanish in his home as well. That Teo was going to go on Team Buble, so it was a perfect pairing. I am so excited to see their partnership, and I'm so excited to hear more from Teo. His voice was just absolutely wonderful. Okay, friends, so let me give you the info that you need to know in case you don't know it. So don't forget to follow the Pitchy Podcast on your favorite podcast platform so you can be the first to get all of our content. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, please make sure to rate us with 5 stars and a kind review so more friends can find us. And then don't forget to jump over to YouTube and search for the Pitchy Podcast. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our new videos when they drop. Also, don't forget that we are on Instagram and TikTok at The Pitchy Podcast, and we are also on Blue Sky at thepitchypodcast.bsky.social for new episode alerts, episode clips, and so much more. Last, as I mentioned, we are on Patreon. We have so much bonus content. We have more content and more feedback and takes on each episode. We let you know whether we would have turned, if we were coaches, whether we would have turned for each artist. We talk about the artists that did not get a chair turn and so much more. So right down there, you can find the link for our Patreon. Only $5 per month. You can join for free and get previews of all of our content. Some content we open up for free for our free members, but if you want all of the bonus content, only $5 per month. Link is down below or down in the description. We really, really hope that you join us there. All right, friends, we will be back later on this week for episode 6, I believe. Is it episode 6? Night 6 of the Blind Auditions. We will be back for that later on this week, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.